What's up? My name's Alex Majewski, also known as J-Sky, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about mid-2000s backpack rappers, college rappers. A lot of the artists that I'm going to be talking about in this video popped off. Some of them also fell off. So I would love to know what you guys think in the comments about some of these artists. Like, do you fuck with them? Do you hate them? And let me know if there's any specific rappers that I left out that you think are worth noting, and maybe I'll talk about it in the future. So with that being said, let's get into this shit. So first off, we have the artist G-Eazy, who really embodied that 1960s like greaser Danny Zuko vibe, slick back coif and leather jacket. He was like a man with a plan. When I first heard his music, it was singles off of the record These Things Happen, songs like Tumblr Girl and Been On. He had an image that was really crafted, and he was very specific and intentional. Like, the videos would always showcase like his perspective of the world and like kind of like a distance, like kind of corrupt, very robotic, but just like smooth kind of character. Just him smoking in slow motion and black and white, and everything was really thought out, and the production was next level, and it was just really innovative and creative. Like, it didn't sound like the other people who were coming out at the time. One thing I have noticed about him is that, like, aside from him having just kind of like that West Coast undertone with his own flair, he never really sang his own hooks. He had a ton of features, things like that. So he only really showed the version of himself that sounded the best. Like, his vocal ability isn't great. He's a good rapper, but he's just really good at what it is that he does. With that being said, yeah, he's a big rapper, but that's kind of where his shortcomings came as well, because his limitations as an artist, as a creative, kind of tapped out. Like, you have to think about it. Like, if he came in, like, the 1960s doesn't necessarily age so well right now. So he had a place in time. He just kind of showed his cards a little too much. Like, he had rode that album, These Things Happen, for a long time. Then he had some follow-up records, features like Chris Brown, and he had the song where he talked about his relationship with his mother, who was a lesbian, and just all kinds of deep stuff, which was a glimpse into his life, which I really fucked with. He went to college in New Orleans, and there was some influence on some of those records as well, just kind of hearing like jazzy like tidbits or samples and shit like that. He had Bounce Back, which was a fucking huge hit. But then the pandemic came, and things just kind of shifted to like an alternative way, and he tried to do that, and it just like wasn't for him. I really like the song Nostalgia Cycle off the Everything Strange record. Like, it's like acoustic mixed with like hippie 70s vibes, but in comparison to like the rest of his work and like what other artists like Juice WRLD and Kid Laroi and Post Malone and Machine Gun Kelly, his shit just like was mid, you know. Like, I just gotta call it like I see it, and that's really what happened. Like, maybe he'll have another pop. Like, obviously people still fuck with his music. Like, he's a big artist, don't get me wrong, but he just fell off. He wasn't able to evolve, and like, he's kind of like a one-trick pony. Like, he's really good at what he could do, but he can't do everything. Next up is a personal favorite of mine, or not. Like, the thing is, like, could you say that he's not your favorite if he's not your favorite right now, but you had him on your Spotify Wrapped as like your #1 artist forever? Like, this is my fucking Drake for like 4 or 5 years, and that's the rapper OnCue. I'm sure a lot of you guys have never even heard of him. He's from Connecticut, lived in Greenpoint, Brooklyn for a long time. Now he's out in LA, and he has a huge catalog. This is a dude who had fucking bars and was great. I also had a fucking beef with him on Instagram like 2 or 3 years ago, where I just like had the nerve to pretty much be like, dude, like, I feel like you lost your way, and the shit you're putting out now is just like not as special and creative, and just like what made everyone love you and fall in love with you in the first place, and your music is just like not there. And he's like, well, I'm like, we just had a falling out, we had some words, we ended up making up, and all is well, and I wish him nothing but the best. Like, he puts out some fucking bangers, but like, it just sounds like he's just trying to get playlisted. It sounds just like swaggy Drake shit, and it's not like the OnCue that I remember. I truly had high hopes for him. Like, he has crazy bars, raw energy, and the commercial sensibility. I kind of felt like he was the skinny kid with heart that'd be chain smoking at the party. He might stand up, mouth off to some asshole disrespecting a girl he knew, even if that meant he would be getting his ass kicked. His initial pop, I guess his claim to fame was him and his buddy made a dope music video and won an MTV2 contest. The song was for Feel Tall. This was a creative video. Like, I've heard him in interviews just talking about it, and they just took a ton of time, found props all over the city, and it was like a labor of love. Like, you could tell in the video, he put his heart, sweat, and tears into this shit, and it really shows. Like, it's just a classic. When I listen to this song, it's like time travel for me, back to like 2013, 2014. He had tons of EPs, tons of singles, and awesome creative videos along the way. Then he got linked up with Just Blaze, and then he dropped the record Angry Young Man, where he really leveled up. You could hear the difference in production. It's like the new collaborators, he had new producers, and that special fucking slamming drums, like pizzazz from fucking Just Blaze, and it was sick, dude. Then I thought he was well on his fucking way. Like, there was some word that he was gonna get signed to Rock Nation, and shit really seemed like it was gonna be coming. Like, every year or so, he would drop another couple singles leading up to the next EP or full length, and it just felt like his time was coming, and it didn't. Like, classic story, the guy who was signing him and his A&R got fired. Shit happens all the time, and to his demise, like, he just really started falling off. Like, he still has a following, like, he's still getting like 70,000 monthly listeners. He makes some good shit, and I do like bring him back occasionally, and I get hooked in again, but I just really thought he was gonna be a lot bigger than he was. If you guys have never listened to OnCue, I definitely recommend doing it. Like, this is someone who was influenced by like just like early like fucking college days, like just MGMT and just like indie music and hip hop when like Mac Miller first came out, but like he did it in his own way, and it was really sick. And like when alternative music came back, pretty much what I was telling him was, I was like, yo, like, I hear you as an alternative rapper, and I don't understand why the fuck you're trying to sound like swaggy Drake dude when you're like a pale fucking like penis haircut white dude. And like, I just think he's just trying too hard. Like, just take the fucking risk. Like, you have always wanted to be the greatest. I know it. So spit those fucking bars. Stop doing this like auto-tune shit and just do what you do. You know what I mean? Next up, we got Pete Davidson's favorite artist, and also probably my friend Colt's like favorite artist. Not like rapper artist, but like artist who's like creative and went to film school and shit like that. And that's Kid Cudi, Day and Night. And he had the song Pursuit of Happiness. He really brought something new to the table. Like, he had different messages and just a different like vibe that he was putting out there to the world. And he created this like campy world. And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean campy in a like a negative connotation. With him, I think the biggest thing that happened was like, I don't know if he loved being a celebrity in the limelight. He has a lot of mental health and depression issues. And yeah, he's done a lot of records, and from time to time he may do shows and put out other things, but it's that one CD and a couple other singles like fucking Eraser Man with Kanye West. It's a sick song. I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was at Gov Ball in New York, and I was in like the Tito's section, and there was just like picnic tables where people were sitting. I was with some friends, and I just saw some like pretty average, like not that fucking like swagged out, cool, famous person friends kind of group, and in there was Kid Cudi. He was like wearing a t-shirt with his face on it, big sunglasses, hat down, and I was just like, if he wasn't wearing the shirt, I legit would have not even realized it was him. But I like looked at his shirt, I looked at his face, I was like, oh shit, that's Kid Cudi. So, and he was just like kicking it with some friends. So like I think he's just like a regular dude, you know, like, yeah, like if he really pushed it or cared, but it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to be like fucking Kanye West, you know what I mean? So with that being said, Kid Cudi, fucking GOAT, fucking legend. He put his time in. He has those classic songs that will always be loved, but he's not someone that continued and really went to the potential that I think could have been there if he wanted it. Next up is a rapper that when I started listening to him, I was like, yo, this is the fucking dude. Like, he was definitely like on his way to being like leveled with Kendrick Lamar and rappers like J. Cole, like conscious rap. I guess you could call him backpack rap, but he just kind of brought everything to the table at once. And that's Logic. And the record that really fucking got me into him was Under Pressure. He had songs like Under Pressure, I'm Gone, Gang Related, Nikki, which is just like him comparing like the addiction of a cigarette to a romantic relationship. Then on his follow-up records like The Incredible True Story and Bobby Tarantino, like he still had bars. Like obviously his skill level didn't go away, but I don't know, like he just kind of lost it. Like he had a commercial sensibility, fucking like super dope bars. What he was talking about was just like really conscious, and he just had special productions, and just everything that he was doing on Under Pressure was to a 10, you know? And I'm not expecting any artist to make the same record twice. Like I know that is a pitfall that many fans get mad. They're like, yo, I want another one. Well, that's not gonna fill him creatively, and no one should be just doing the same thing. But he didn't like segue into a new thing that was like just as good, the next dope thing. He just kind of, I feel like, was complacent, and like people over the years have been saying he's corny, and like he just didn't live up to my expectation, and that's why I'm putting him on the list. Like I don't want to say anything shitty about him. Like he's skilled, he'll fucking murder anyone that he like were to fucking go against. Like record to record, he's better than most rappers, but being the best rapper doesn't make you my favorite artist. Yeah, and that's logic. Next up is a jack of all trades, definitely not a master of none. That is Childish Gambino. Like, I got into him like 2010, like going back that far. He was like self-producing and making like rap CD mixtapes, and it was combining everything. Like, he had flows like he was Drake mixed with Lil Wayne, making crazy punchlines about like fucking Justin Bieber when he's like a teen star. And he would also sing and play piano and just do everything. And that alone would have been enough to be like, yo, you're fucking amazing. And that's just like a part of what he does. The first like pop he had was as a comedy skit writer with the group Derek Comedy, and that was like when he was at NYU in New York City. That success on the online web series is what got him signed to Tina Fey, and really the rest is history. He's a respected musician, amazing actor, and he's starred in Community. He wrote on 30 Rock. I'm a diehard fan of his show Atlanta on Hulu. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you check it out. I've probably seen it like 4 or 5 times, and it's just a really deep and authentic like portrayal of like the grind. You're in Atlanta in that first season, like you could feel the fucking swamp heat of Atlanta and like his relationship with his cousin. The show is like a come up story. Like, you could feel the grind and the sweat in season 1 in Atlanta. If you've ever been there, it's just like fucking muggy. His cousin's like a local rapper who's popping off named Paperboy. Childish Gambino is portrayed as a college dropout from an Ivy League school who's just not living up to his full potential, and he connects with him and they just go on this journey together. As the seasons progress, he does what many of these artists I wish they did for their careers, and that's just really take things to the next level and kind of use their mind and their perception of the world to really showcase like different meanings and things in a new way. He uses his platform in Atlanta to make meaningful statements about like cultural divides and just kind of playing with cultural norms and just drawing people's attention to things in the world that are fucked up and deserve shining a light on, just to kind of make a difference in people's lives. Yeah, so the fucking camera has died like 4 times and I've attempted the same kind of general thing. So if it fucking dies again, I'm just gonna cut this video right here. Anyway, so the next artist I was like kind of contemplating about talking about, and I'm gonna make it brief, was B.O.B. Like, he definitely was like a major player in like the mid 2000s backpack rapper, college rapper scene. But like when you think about it, like he was too dependent on the writers he was working with, the producers, the features. Like that one record he had had a bunch of great songs, but he needed Haley Williams and Bruno Mars, and he did a song with Taylor Swift. And like when you think about it, like without those people, like does he really stand on his own? And before this video, like I looked him up on Spotify, and like he has a fucking ton of records out, and the shit is like whack. Like his taste is terrible. He had like falling out with his label for a long time, and clearly like when it was up to him to like collaborate and like kind of pick the lane in which he was going to be putting out CDs, like that shit was whack. So that's really all the time I got for you today, and this spot is left strictly for my boy Mod Sun. Rough beginnings, struggled with alcohol and drug addiction for many years. He was kicked out of one of his earlier bands. He like played in pop punk and post-hardcore bands, but he really came into his own after years of being like a little cringy like backpack rapper, like hippie, hopping around the woods in like fucking sandals, no shirts, scraggly hair. And then around the time of the pandemic, he really fucking flexed his talent. He started working with John Feldman, showcasing his voice, his drum ability, his songwriting. He co-wrote the song with Machine Gun Kelly, Bloody Valentine. And I've seen him countless times in concert. Like, this is an underrated performer. His ability to run around the stage, and like you would never know he had like fucking alcohol addiction for years. Like, this dude is in the best shape of his life, and I just love his music. I'm a huge fan, and I can't wait to see what happens next. And he is someone that I don't think anyone was expecting to like pop off. That was an artist in the mid 2000s backpack rapper scene. Like, he was signed to Rostrum, which is the same label Mac Miller was on, but nonetheless, it is crazy to see this 360. I wanted to keep this video short and sweet, so I'm really just talking about a handful of my favorite artists from this time period, mid 2000s, backpack college rappers. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I make these videos weekly. Like, sometimes I talk about like emo rap trees, just like how Bella Thorne dated Lil Peep, dated Mod Sun, and a bunch of these same people were like kicking it and co-writing and doing drugs, and like you don't realize like how small these circles are. And another video that like, these topics are all over the place. Sometimes I talk about new metal, sometimes I talk about pop punk, or when emo rap took the world by storm. I think that's my personal favorite one. Anyway, I appreciate you guys, all the support, tuning into the videos weekly. My name's Alex Majewski, also known as J Sky. Follow me on IG, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next week. Peace. Thank you.